welcome. Thank you so much for being here to our very special event with Amazfit, obviously. What a beautiful location just around here. So thanks to everybody for making the way here. We've got, obviously, I think everybody knows that by now, the launch of two amazing products that we want to officially introduce to you. And when I say we, that is not me. I've got actual experts there. I have a little bit of a right of standing up here. The way I'm connected with Amazfit is I'm the global MC for HYROX, for example, where some of you might know Amazfit is heavily invested helping out the athletes and supporting them with their product and so on. We're going to go into detail on that a little bit. So thanks for having me today here as well. And we're going to see three gentlemen up here today. On the one hand, Jesus, who's the president. No, the general manager. That is the word I was looking for. The general manager for EMEA. And then Matthew with a very complicated title of head of global integrated marketing. You need to explain that to me at some point with global integrated marketing, as we do that over a beer at some point. And then the gentleman who actually does look like an athlete there, or a machine if you want to say so, that is Freddie, the founder of and head coach at Ikigor in Cologne, the first official HYROX partner gym that we do have in Germany. So he's the man who's going to give all the insight into actually working with the athletes, how he uses the product, how he integrates them into training and everything. So before we get started, the way this is going to work here today is we've got two rounds basically. We're going to have a keynote from Jesus. He's going to start the day off with that. And then we're going to go into the panel discussion. So we're going to just flip the stage around for a minute. So no time to rush out. We're going to go from one straight into the other. But afterwards, there's going to be drinks again out there for you, ready waiting for you, cold drinks and coffee and everything. There's the experience zone that's built up in different areas. So you got the Helio Strap area. You've got the HYROX area. We've got scuba and water, and we got golf built up out there. Those gentlemen will be around again to answer all the questions that you have individually. But what we do in the panel discussion as well is we've got it divided up into three parts. So after each part, we're going to open up for some general questions. If you've got a question about the product, the technology, the experience with it, where you think, hey, this is something that could interest everybody and not just me, then we're going to do that, and we're more than happy to do that in an open round. And of course, for the media, we then got the balance too later on, the test products to be handed out as well. I think you've been informed about that. But that's enough of the housekeeping. We want to hear from the gentlemen who've got all the information about this wonderful day we got here. So the general manager, EMEA, Jesus, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Till. Good afternoon, how are you? Good? Ready for a short period of time of your life? I think it's gonna be a good time, okay? I think, let me start with the commitment of Amazfit with the sports. Part of DNA is sports. You are gonna listen a lot of sports. But this is for a good reason, okay? Let me explain you. Because when we try to prepare this presentation, we thought about your country, and I see, okay, what is the best location, okay? Probably this is one of the best locations to speak about the sports, okay? This morning when we ran in the Olympian Park, I say, wow, it's wonderful. So it's breathe sports, okay? And this is something that we want to speak today, okay? And let me speak with some interesting data that we found when we prepared this presentation. Is about the number of sports. So in the old Greece, long time ago, so in the Olympic Games, there were around 8, 12 competition. But if you check the number of competition in the Olympia Park, in the Munich Olympic Games 53 years ago, the number of competition were around 200. It's amazing. So the number of sports that they are growing today. But last year in Paris, in the Olympic Games, the number were more than 300. So the number of sports are growing and growing. So this fact is really interested because proof that the human is really interested in new sports. They want to create new sports. So not only the well-known sports, they are more interested in a new sport that they are becoming mainstream. And this is good. This is super nice. And our main commitment for Amazfit is to keep innovating in these new sports, in the new desire of the people to discover the full potential of the athletes or the amateur people that they want to try new sports, like HYROX, like scuba diving, all of them. And the key question is, how can you do it? But mainly, it's the Amazfit ecosystem. Part of the Amazfit ecosystem are the Amazfit smartwatch that you show in the entrance. Also, the rings to check the recovery, the rest data. But not only the hardware, also the powerful AI system that you can find in the Thep app. For example, Thep Coach. In Thep Coach, you can follow a training. Thep Aura, you can receive some guidance and some advice about your sleep time. But recently, we launched the Thep Food login. That is really powerful, really good, because you can take a picture and you can see how many carbs, how many protein, how many calories do you need. Okay, this is really important for the athletes, and especially because these top athletes, part of the Amazfit team, they are getting this type of support, and they are improving the fitness level based on the data. The importance of the data is really critical for them. This is the first one, Jasmine Paulin. Jasmine Paulin won the tournament in Rome. Last year, we won the gold medal in the Paris Olympic Games. This is one of the best ambassadors for Amazfit. Also, Gabby Thomas is one of the most decorated US athletes. So Matt can speak about her. She's an unbelievable lady, so very close to us. She enjoys all the data, and she's developing a new services for the company. It's really good. But not only about the well-known or the popular sports. So there are other sports that they are becoming mainstream, really popular. They are growing a lot, like HYROX. In HYROX, we have the best of the best. The best of the best means the top athletes. For example, Hunter. Hunter is the 3 times HYROX world champion. He's the #1. He missed the HYROX world champions in Chicago 2 weeks ago just for only 5 seconds. It was unbelievable, the level of excellence of these guys. And also Megan. Megan is a really powerful lady. Was the first lady in breaking the 1 hour in the HYROX competition. Is really good. But all of them, they have one thing in common. So is the way of training. And the way of training is exactly the same for all the athletes. Is you are training hard, and you have to recover. You have to rest. And you get stronger, and you have to repeat again. So this message is really important for us, how to train, rest, recover, and repeat again. So this is really powerful. And how can we do that? So today we are going to introduce the perfect products, like the perfect tandem, for this message, okay, for the train, recover, and repeat. And they are the perfect combo with Amazfit Balance 2, that you already show in the entrance, and also the Helio Strap. They are very good because they can help you to continue improving your fitness level. You can improve in your form based on the train and the recovery data. But let me start with the first product for today, is the Amazfit Balance 2. Amazfit Balance 2 is a multi-sport smartwatch. You can find more than 170 sports, disciplines, 4 different types of sports. So technical sports, endurance sports, and strength training sports. So it's really, really good. But when we design this smartwatch, the main message has to be the best of the best in class in terms of the screen. So the screen is AMOLED ultra bright screen with more than 2,000 nits. Then you can train with your cycle, with your running outside. That it's very easy to read the data. So the screen is really, really powerful to read everything. Also, you can find the sapphire glass protection. For example, when you are in the gym and you are training with the weights, so you don't have to suffer anymore for the scratches in the screen, okay? So it's super, super, super strong. And on top of that, you can find the most user-friendly software that we ever developed is CEPOS 5. It's really user-friendly, and especially for the sport that we are going to explain today, HYROX, golf, scuba diving, this is a specific parameters to navigate easily for the smartwatch. But let me start with HYROX. As you maybe know, last year, we partnered HYROX, and we know that this is one of the fast-growing sports worldwide. So they are more than double in just 1 year the number of athletes attending the time of competition. So it's incredible when you go for a HYROX competition, the number of people interested in different types of disciplines. So it's really, really good. See how HYROX is booming. And let's see if in the future it's an Olympic game. So probably makes sense, right? But if you check the data here in Germany and in Austria, it's unbelievable. So more than double in all the competition of HYROX here in Germany. And in Berlin, 1 month ago, you heard the record of number of athletes competing. More than 19,000 people competing in the Tempelhof airport. Was unbelievable. So one of the colleagues who compete in Berlin was so shocked about the atmosphere, right? So how you breathe this type of competition. No, Anastasia is smiling because this is one of them, no? In this competition. So I think that the booming situation in Germany is really good. But I want to share with you, you are going to be the first one to watch the first video of the last HYROX Chicago World Championship, happened 2 weeks ago. And let me show you some part of the feeling for this type of competition. So, in summary, we listen all the community of HYROX. For us, it's a really important part to increase our knowledge also, but also including more aspects about HYROX. As probably you know, we introduced the race mode, HYROX race mode. So now you can find in Balance 2 to follow exactly the same template about the competition. So this is the only smartwatch in the market that you can follow this specific HYROX race mode. But also you can find the HYROX PFT, means physical fitness test. And you can try before the competition if you are ready or not. So this is really good for the athletes to see, okay, you have to try, or maybe I have to continue in another period. So it's really good. And a new training mode that we are going to launch after the summer period is going to be very powerful because you are going to check the different exercise that you are going to face in the competition in advance. So this is really good. We are in development, so but the Balance 2 will be one of the first smartwatch to receive this HYROX training mode. But not only HYROX is growing, especially here in Germany. The growth of the golf in Germany, it's around 6%. So this is really good, really healthy, and especially between the young people. So young people is starting to practice golf, and this is one of the sports that is growing in the Germany market. So and we are going to introduce a new advanced golf mode in the Balance 2. And especially for the Balance 2, you can find some specific parameters for the golf. For example, the distance to the hole, or the different challenge that you can find in the terrain. So it's super good. It's very user-friendly. So probably you can try after the meeting, after the session, because this is one of the best improvements for Balance 2. And also you can find more than 40,000 golf courses in the device. Okay, this is super good. And in summary, we can say that in Balance 2, you can find urban maps, you can find ski maps, and also contour maps. And from today, you can find the golf maps. And the most important thing is all for free. So this is something that we offer for free to all the customers that they are purchasing the Balance 2. Okay? And another sport that's growing a lot in Germany is the water sports. Water sports, we expect that the market is going to double, is going to reach 500 million just in 5 years. So we expect a big growth in the next 5 years in Germany. This is really, really good. And today we are announcing a scuba diving, advanced scuba diving sports mode in Balance 2. This is very exclusive, and this will be very good to check all the parameters when you are diving. You can find 10 ATM, but also is certified to dive in a depth of 45 meters. It's really, really, really important, the safety of the people for the water sports. So finally, you can find scuba diving, but you can also find 15 additional water sports mode to enjoy the summer period. But in summary, no matter if it's HYROX or it's scuba diving or it's training or running, finally, Balance 2 is focused to provide precise training data and recovery data. Okay, and this is thanks to the sensor, the new sensor. Okay, so in our case, we don't outsource the sensor. This is our own technology. This is something that you cannot find in the rest of the brands of the market. And one of the benefits of this sensor is you can get the BioTracker sensor, the 6th version. This is really powerful. This is the latest technology that we introduced in the market. And finally, you can get a specific metrics to check your training data. For example, the training loading, the effectiveness of the training, but also the recovery data and the post-workout data. This is really good. How is training with a new product that we are going to introduce today? But German Kripa is running more than 200 kilometers per week. Sometimes in Italy, sometimes in Africa, in Ethiopia. It's unbelievable. He's running more than 12 sessions per week. But I have to tell you that only 2 sessions are intense. The rest are recovery. So his coach is training every day how he's recovering from the previous session. Okay, so he's checking recover more than the training session. Okay, so for them, it's really important how the athlete is feeling. Okay, how is when he's waking up. So what about your feelings? But another important fact is how the data or how accurate is the data to check if he's feeling recovered or not. To face an intense session, or probably you can take a recovery session. So the importance of the data is getting more and more important for the top athletes because they are trying to search the excellence and the details matter. And the details matter based on data. The importance of the data is really critical. So, and today we are introducing the BioTracker 6, like the most accurate sensor for the data. But we are also introducing the Helio Strap. So Helio Strap is one of the most advanced technology that you can find in the market to check the training, but also the rest. This is the perfect technology to make decision about the training scheme. Because for the runners or for the HYROX athletes, so there is no shortcuts in the sports. So the data matter, and it's really critical to make decision to push harder or maybe to trade a recovery session. But today, introducing the Amazfit Helio Strap, you can follow the same scheme, how to train, how to recover, and how to get stronger and stronger and stronger. So that is the topic. Today, we introduce the Helio Strap. There are three main benefits. Helio Strap has the latest technology, but the most important one we can summarize is really light. It's really light. It's around 20 grams. It's unbelievable. Also, it's very comfortable. You are forgetting that you are wearing it. You can trust that. It's not like a smartwatch. You can use every day, and finally to sleep or to practice on a sport that there is no allowed to wear the smartwatch, like tennis or soccer. You can wear it. It's really good. And also it's very accurate. So the precise of the accuracy is very similar to the chest strap that you are wearing for running or for cycling. So this is, but the reason is finally you are getting the latest technology, the bio tracker, the last one, to track all your metrics to make decision about your fitness level. So finally, when you are training with the Helio Strap, you can get aerobic, anaerobic, many data, but also after the post-workout, you can find more detailed information about the recovery. For example, the heart rate variability. For example, the fatigue level, the stress level, and also the recovery data. When you are sleeping, you can check, okay, what is the quality of your sleep. This is really important because probably you can sleep a long time, but probably the most important decision is what is the quality of your sleep, okay? And based on this information that the Helio Strap is gonna provide to you, you can make the decision about the training. And today we are announcing a new score. This is very new. This is the BioTracker sensor named BioCharge. The BioCharge measures the energy levels updated every time. So, for example, when you are training during the day, if you decide to rest or you decide to take a nap, you are getting updated data, updated metrics about what is your energy score level. And this is important if you want to train 2 times, or you want to run in the morning and you want to train in the gym in the afternoon. You can know your energy levels to make decision about the sports. Also, the battery life. You don't have to worry about the battery life with the Helio Strap. This is up to 10 days, the battery life. This is really good. This is really good compared with other smartwatches in the market. So it's really good. And also, you can find all the data in the same platform, STEP application. And the most important message is there is no subscription. There is no fee. So I think this is an advantage against all the solution in the market, because finally you are going to combine all the data in one platform. If you are wearing the Amazfit Balance 2 and the Helio Strap, all the data are going to be merged. But also, if you forget to wear the Amazfit Balance 2, the Helio Strap is going to check, is going to provide all the data in STEP app application. Today we announced the product will be available today at that time at the price at 99. At the beginning, the color will be available will be the black color, but during the summer period, we are going to introduce more colors, like the white gray, the gray black. So there will be more colors to choose during this period. And I think all the athletes are going to enjoy very soon about this new product. So that's all from my side. I think we are introducing the best of the best in the market, the perfect combo to follow the train, recover, and repeat scheme for the training. And I can speak during a long time, but I prefer that maybe my colleagues can help me with some details and some parameters, specific parameters that we can speak in during the panel session. So Thank you.
Thank you so much. So what we're going to do now in the panel discussion, I'm going to get out of your way for a second there, is dive a little more into the details. Obviously, we heard about the data and to get it 24 hours without interruption and everything, heard some of the sensor and so on, but of course we want to talk about how does it actually work? How did you achieve some of the goals? Go into more details what the advantages are, how is it used in training and everything. And I just want to point it out, Jesus. It's true, Hunter McIntyre is an amazing athlete, but I want to point out both HYROX world champions this year do come from Germany.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why you need to be stronger in the German market than you are already, I'm telling you.
Good point.
It was 6 seconds, but we did it.
Yes.
All right. There you go. So before we get started, quick question. How did you feel this morning? Good. How did you feel this morning? Tired? Fair enough. I can work with that. How did you feel 17 days ago in the morning when you woke up? Not sure. How about you? No idea. And that is exactly it. I'm going to ask you in a second if that surprises you, but that question leads a little bit to why all the data that we're gathering and how we use it and so on is so key, not just for your well-being, feeling tired, feeling good, but also for your sports performance and everything. To give you an example that relates to that, most of you will know Jan Frodeno, Ironman world champion. So before a race, he would switch his nutrition the very latest 3 weeks out from the race, because what he ate then is what builds his muscles 3 weeks later. You know, this is basically the food he puts in 3 weeks before the race is what his muscle is built off 3 weeks later. And I would say similar thing applies to all that data that you're collecting. So I'm going to ask you as a coach, are you surprised, Freddie?
I'm not surprised.
People don't know what they felt like 17 years ago.
I'm not surprised because, in general, you know how you feel in the second right now. So if I ask you three, you know how you feel right now. You don't know how you felt 2 weeks ago. But if you look at the data, for example, if you look at your training data, your recovery data from 2 weeks ago, you remember that, and you can track that with Amazfit, with watches, with smartwatches, with the Helio Strap, and you can understand how you felt a few weeks ago and optimize your training and also your recovery according to that.
We keep hearing about data, right? Everybody's now offering data, is collecting data, and so on. But what data do you consider important for training, for yourself, for your athletes?
If you look at that, you have the training data itself that you look at. So, for example, when I do a run, I look at my heart rate. I look at the pace that I run. I look at the distance that I cover whilst running. And then there's the second part, which is the recovery and also the enormous data that you can find, that you can analyze. For example, your sleep. How regular is your sleep? When do you go to bed? Is that the same time every day? When do you wake up? So this is something that you can track. Then the depth of your sleep, for example. So the recovery phase of how much do you recover while sleeping. Then you have your resting heart rate, and it shows you a lot of data that you can use for training, for example. So it shows you, for example, that when you eat late or when you drank alcohol, that your resting heart rate is a bit higher, and that's something you can analyze. Or if you trained late at 10 or 11 in the evening, it's more difficult for your body to recover in sleep, and then you don't feel that fit for the next day of training. You also have the HRV, the heart rate variability, which is counted or which is basically analyzed in milliseconds. And here you look at a higher rate, for example. So the higher the rate, the better it is for the heart rate variability, because it shows you how rested your nervous system is, for example. If you're under stress or not. The lower it is, the more stress you have. It shows you dehydration or hydration in general. So a lot of factors that you can take into account for the training sessions, for recovery, and that's how I work for myself, and that's how I work with athletes as well.
And I think that, because it pretty much explains why it's supposed to be 24/7, that
Yes.
the data is measured around the clock, that there's no gaps in there.
Yeah, this is an important thing, because when you follow a training plan by your coach, finally you have the weekly plan, or finally you can have the monthly plan, but probably your body is replying sometimes with some KPIs on some data, then you can make decisions based on this data. In these 24 hours, 7 days, you can adjust your stimuli in your training, or maybe you can double the session if you are feeling recovered. So maybe you can adapt your training or your coach can adapt your training based on data, based on the heart rate variability when you're sleeping or after an intervals. Maybe you are thinking that you are recovered, but maybe your heart rate is showing another data. So today, 24 hours, 7 days support in just one platform help you to make decisions. And this is, I think, the most important KPI to keep out of the injuries, that this is something that all the athletes are trying to escape. But the data is the most important KPI to see if you are feeling good or you want to train more, or maybe you need to stop and to say, okay, this is a good day to recover. No, this is one of the most difficult things for the athletes. No, when you need to stop and to say, okay, this is a rest day. So I think all the data and all Balance 2 or Helio Strap needs to help you to analyze how your body is replying to your training load.
And I think you very briefly touched it in your keynote, is the importance of where you help the athlete. So now, not every athlete has a Freddy handy to help him analyze the data and everything. So it can get confusing, right, with the data you have. You've got HRV, you've got heart rate, you've got sleep scores. Some scores you want high, other scores you want low and everything. And that's where the app tremendously helps those athletes who don't have a coach helping interpret the data.
Absolutely. So when you go into the app, there's lots of insights about all of the metrics. So when you can go in, you can learn more about what they mean, what they're supposed to do, and how everything works together. And so I was thinking about when these guys were answering, like what I use on a daily basis. You know, when I get up first thing in the morning, I'm looking at my biocharge score. Assuming I had a good night of sleep, that number should be very high. But then I'm looking at like my exertion score, it should be low, but then tie that back into readiness, which is kind of what you were talking about, preparing for that day's training. So for me, it helps just manage my expectations about how that day is going to be. And then as part of just like my own accountability, it's, okay, my readiness says it's pretty low. Like maybe this is the day where I'm just gonna go out and try and crush it anyways, see what happens. And let's see if I can get that biocharge number bottomed out and then just raise the exertion score as high as I can. So there's just mental games you could play along the way. For, you know, some of the professional athletes, they're not gonna do that. They're gonna be very rigid. For regular people, it's something interesting where they're learning how the data works together. It's try something new here, adjust something there, but more importantly, make sure that you, when you're training, you incorporate your recovery and then you start over and do it again tomorrow. So it goes back to that train, recover, repeat. But then going back to your original question of, hey, 17 days ago, I had a great day. Here's what I can go back into the app and look at it. Here's exactly what I did in the days leading up to that. Okay, let me try and see if I can replicate that again as I'm leading into an event or a race or whatever the case may be.
I personally find the app a little bit unfriendly every once in a while, because once a week it will remind me I should not have had that extra glass of wine.
It is quite spiteful that way. I agree. It doesn't allow talkback.
It does not. It's basically like being married. But that's a different story. We'll go into that at some other conversation. Talking about all the data and so on, I don't know if it's obvious, but they're kind of like different athletes that we got sitting here, right? So Freddie apparently has not always done endurance sport in his life. I think, like, can you flex it? Here we go. Yep, there we go. You know, you love your golf and everything. Just the three of you. Like, give me like two metrics that each of you personally really are interested in.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I am really into biocharge and how that relates back to the readiness score and seeing how those two parallel throughout the day as I'm training.
Let me explain you about the running. I think it's really important, the training load, because finally you are seeing the training load that you are accumulating during the week. And you can link this point with the fatigue level. So you can see if your heart rate is recovered, is not recovered. So I think if you want to escape from the injuries, you need to manage the data in an accurate way. Because after you sleep, you can get the heart rate variability, and you can say, okay, I am ready to run again, or maybe I need to take a rest day. So these three metrics for me are the most important one.
Yeah, for me, it's two things. So the first one is the amount of training modes that you have in the end. So I'm preparing for HYROX, or for the new HYROX season now, starting in September. So I'm running, I'm doing intervals. I can set my own intervals For example, 800, 400. So over the period of time, I can set different modes for the training I do. I can do it very specifically. I can go into the ski erg, for example. I can go into the rowing session and analyze the number of strokes, for example. So that's my number one metric, and then the battery life as well. Because if you do a lot of training sessions, I do 8 training sessions at the moment, with 1 recovery day on Sunday. So I want a good battery life. So I don't want the watch to go off during the training session or do a training session in the morning, put it off, and then charge the watch again. So just as a feedback, I charge the watch once per week. And that's really, really good. That's really, really efficient for the training or the amount of training sessions that I do in the end.
So now we know he trains about 39 hours a week. Yeah, we got that established. fully using the watch. So I'm like, the gray hair gives it away just a little bit. I'm what people consider an old man now. So I grew up in the times where it was very clear, to be a good athlete, you got to train more. More is more. And the same accounted for food. When you had enough, eat an extra plate. So that is probably why I never became a good athlete, because that was not correct. So what we're hearing from, you need the training, but you need the recovery. You need the rest. You need the sleep. That's why we gather data. And I got a feeling, looking at the balance that you need there, that the name of the watch is used on a purpose.
Absolutely. I mean, you just hit the nail on the head right there. So when you're thinking about those two, it really comes down to everything that you've mentioned, right? Training, recovering. And that's the ethos of the name behind that, the balance name, right? You have to have that balance in your performance and your lifestyle. It's not only about measuring your performance data or your mental wellness, but it's also the recovery. So find that perfect balance.
And the balance, kind of like, so if I look at Chicago, right? Mm-hmm. We're introducing 2 products. And it was really interesting to see at the World Championship, at the HYROX World Championship in Chicago, some of the athletes you mentioned, like Hunter McIntyre, Megan Jacoby. By the way, she is like the watch. It is insane. Everything goes in there. Food, recovery, every step, sleep, training, and so on. But one thing you could see, not just with the elite athletes, but also with a lot of the age group athletes, they were fortunate enough to have the chance to use the Helio already, and most of them used both devices, which is actually purpose-built.
Yes. Each device as a standalone is really, really good for all the reasons that we've mentioned, but they are actually designed to perform better together. So unlike a lot of the competitors out there that rely on a single device, through the Amazfit ecosystem, we've redesigned the recovery to allow the users to seamlessly connect their smartwatch, like the Balance 2, to the Helio Strap or the Helio Ring, and all that's done through the Zepp app, which we've talked about earlier. And through there, basically what you're doing is you're eliminating those data gaps. And so if you're eliminating those data gaps 24/7, you're getting better accurate heart rate, you're getting better fatigue assessment, recovery analytics, and then in the opening it was mentioned there's no subscription. Like, just pay the cost of the device or devices, and you're in the ecosystem 24/7.
So great together, even better. No, great alone, even better together.
Yeah, we could go back to the wife analogy or whatever, but we don't know.
Let's leave the wives out there. I got to get home after this, so I don't want to sleep on the couch.
Yep.
So that's the one side. The other side I want to talk about a little bit is sort of like the design thinking that went into it, and not just the design, but the purpose thinking that went into it. Because let's face it, there's a lot of smartwatches out there. There's a lot of sports smartwatches out there as well. But what you wanted is what you'd consider a true multi-sport smartwatch. So now, some people will think, hey, my watch can do different sports. It's a multi-sports watch. Is it as simple as putting, in your case, just 170 sports in, they're done, multi-sports watch?
No, it's there's a lot of watches out in the market right now where they have running, they have cycling, they have strength training, golf, swimming, whatever. But if you really look at them, the data fields that they offer are very basic and very standardized. Running, you get your distance, pace, cadence, and you don't have much else. Same thing with golf or swimming or strength training, whatever the case may be. Whereas the activity profiles that we put on the device, we went in depth. So you're not just getting pace, distance, cadence. You're getting additional running dynamics that talk about your propulsion or vertical oscillation. In strength training, you're getting set detection or sets, reps, auto detection. You're getting more in-depth data. golf, we were talking about that earlier. It's more than just distance to the green, to the front, middle, back. You're getting your swing analytics, and that was something that was really eye-opening to me. I went in and I was getting my swing tempo and my swing angle at the top of my stroke, and just learning how to actually use that as tweak a little bit here, a little bit there, and it's amazing how the ball flight just changes, and you're not hitting that building over there or the house over there. You're actually playing on your own course. But it's that way across all of our data fields. So that's where we are really differentiating ourselves across many of those competitors. We're going deeper. It's not just about putting more sports on the watch, right?
The golf example, that is the one that just so stands out to me. It's just because I play golf, and I don't know if anybody here plays golf, but if you if you play golf, what you used to pay for a TrackMan, if that was built up at the driving range, which is just insane. You know, you paid it $30 just to use it, to somebody analyze your swing. Yeah. Now my watch at $299 does it.
Yeah, and what's crazy is some of those other competitors, they have very specialized watches for this sport, and this sport. So that makes their users, if they want to go out and they want to be that athlete that does everything, right? They run, they swim, they bike, they strength train, so on and so forth. They wear different watches if they want more in-depth information or performance metrics, right? We purpose-built this for that modern urban athlete, that multi-sport performance person, right? They are performance-driven. And, we should also mention, when we're talking about multi-sports, it's not just multiple sports. This is a fully functioning triathlon watch, duathlon watch. So when we're looking through that lens as well, it's really encapsulating both of those worlds, right? There's multiple sports and there's multi-sport. And what we're doing is we're actually allowing these performance-driven athletes one device. So when they're out running and training, and then they go play golf, or they dive out on holidays, or they're doing whatever they're doing that day, they have one source of truth, and they have all of the information they need right there. And then again, when they pair it with this, it's even better accuracy 24/7.
So the one thing is to get all that specific data in there. You gather a lot of feedback from the athletes as well to constantly improve and really make a sport specific. But that alone doesn't make a multi-sports watch, because you got to be able to use it in different situations, different scenarios, and basically one watch that needs to have all the practical advantages as well. So what other thought process and key features went into it?
Yeah, so, Jesus went into many of the features earlier, but it really comes down to 3 design elements that were very thoughtful and purpose-driven, and one of those is the software. So Zepp for this device, is using our 5th generation Zepp operating system, and so what that does is it has been taking feedback from all of our engineers and designers and developers, and we're putting all of those recommendations per sport, per activity, to provide better insights or information or feedback back to you. So the message there is we have actual athletes in those disciplines designing features for that discipline. So it's athletes building products for athletes. So there's software. The other side of that is the construction and the design of the product. So sapphire glass. Think about all those times you've been in the gym. I'm not the most graceful person, so walking by a machine, slam, right? I've broken so many screens walking through a gym or even through a doorway. Sapphire glass, scratch resistant. And this vibrant AMOLED display, when we went out for a run this morning and the direct sunlight, could read it perfectly. There was no issues there. And then thinking about the last element there is the efficiency of the product. We really get into the battery life, which is up to 21 days, and then 39 hours with continuous GPS. But then we also get into that water rating, right? Which many of those competitor watches that are out there are rated for a 5 ATM. We are up to a 10 ATM. So you can dive down to 45 meters, you can do the free diving. And when you think about it and you put all of those elements together there, again, it is purpose-built for that multi-sport athlete, and this is your multi-sport training partner.
When you first told me what the watch is capable of, from the inside and the outside, and I'm fortunate with my job that I have to have a lot of the latest gadgets lying around at home, but if I put on another watch I want to dive 45 meters with, it weighs triple the size, or triple the weight, right? Yeah. If I want to go proper outdoorsy and have all the functionality and the ruggedness, it looks rugged, it wears rugged.
Yeah.
It sounded a little too good to be true before I got to try the watch. But the big question, it looks sleek. It's cute, and pick it up later on. It's light.
Yeah.
How did you achieve it?
Yeah, that really comes down to really our BioTracker sensor that Jesus talked about earlier. It's our latest BioTracker sensor. So most people don't realize that it's not only responsible for the stability, but it will also extend the battery life, right? That makes it much more accurate when you're reading the heart rate data, and really that's where the performance comes in behind. So it's that BioTracker, and by having that sensor, the form factor that it is, it's not forcing us to have trade-offs. A lot of competitors, they put in big battery life, so the size of the watch is massive. Or they reduce the battery life, and it's like, oh, I want a really thin watch, I want it to be very sleek. Okay, they have no battery life, so they're gonna put it on a charger every night, which inherently means you're missing a lot of recovery data. So our engineers were really found that intersection between form and function, and that's where you came up with the balance too. So it's really driven by that BioTracker sensor.
And I think something that really comes across when you're listening to that, and also Freddie knows about this. I've seen it with the athletes, how much you take the feedback from the athletes and everything into account. Everything is purpose-built. And we've talked a lot about the watch, but the Helio Strap is really purpose-built as well. It is not just like the sidekick that should just be there. It actually has its really own advantages. We talked about the incredible lightweight, but it brings precision with it.
Yeah, so this is 24/7 all-day wearability. So we talked about the accuracy, the heart rate, the sleep recovery information, which is critical in here, the battery life, and then the sleek design. I don't want to say it matches all the outfits you're going to wear in a day, but it's pretty discreet, super lightweight. I've found at nights when I'm just having wrist fatigue and I want to take my watch off, I just wear the Helio and I'm not missing anything whatsoever. And it's actually really nice. It's kind of one of those just nice benefits of forgetting that it's there.
I think come summer, it literally matches all the outfits. When the gray white is out, it's an interchangeable band. So I was wearing a different one about an hour ago, and then somebody really liked the one I had. I had a HYROX specific one, and it's in 30 seconds it was switched out. I'm on black. Somebody in here is now having a HYROX specific one. There you go. Yeah. But it's like you say it, it matches the different outfits, the different purpose and everything. But there are purposes where you're like, oh, I would not have thought about that. You mentioned Jasmine Paolini, for example. So we're looking at sports suddenly. I wasn't even aware of that, where watches are banned.
Absolutely. We've talked a lot about that in the last couple of days, whether it's tennis or soccer or some of these other sports where there's times where strength training, the watch just gets in the way. The band will work perfectly in those situations for all the features that we talked about, right? The accuracy and the activity detections. But there's instances where, in strength training, for example, where you're doing the sled push or you're doing a try, the blood is just restricted in the wrist, and sometimes the watch is going to move around. It's a little bit bulkier. That's where the Helio Strap comes in, and because of the size, dimensions, and the way it fits, it will actually measure your heart rate better.
And I heard rumors there's things in the work that you can use them even more, so you can definitely stay excited and tuned for that. Yes. And I want to talk a little bit about the vision that you're bringing to the sport and the market, but before we do that, I promise you can ask questions in between. So I'd love to open up for that for a quick round if you want to. Otherwise, obviously, we can do a big round of questions after the third chapter, or individually ask them once we're done here. I think everybody's thirsty with the temperatures out there. So we'll do, yes.
Good question.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So always on display, I'd have to look at the exact metric, but I think instead of being up to 21 days, it's down to 7 days, 5 days. I mean, with the 2,000 nits, and then if you have all of your notifications on, and that just burns battery, right? So it just, so again, I'd have to look at the exact, and I don't, just because I don't want the distraction. I just leave mine off. But I want to say it's 7-ish. That's a good question. When you're not in an activity, the heart rate sensor in your Helio Strap is the parent. It's continuously monitoring your heart rate every second. The smartwatch, like many smartwatches out there, measures heart rate every 4 seconds. However, when you start an activity and you're not wearing your Helio, this goes into continuous heart rate automatically. So it really depends on how you're using it. But to answer your question, when you're walking around and doing your day, going to work, it's the Helio Strap's the parent. In certain situations, then the watch is the parent.
Yeah, but the system is able to measure if the data is accurate from one device or device when you are wearing both. So finally, all the data are matched. So the system is able to say, okay, this data is accurate or is not accurate, and they are taking the best heart rate or the other metric that you need to analyze. So it's really precise. It's really accurate.
It's really, the Helio Strap on its own is perfect for sleeping. I've found that it is wonderful, but it really comes down to your personal preference if you want to wear both. I wear both most nights, but there's just times where I just don't want to wear the watch, so I'm just going to wear Helio, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a very good question. It's a very precise. I can tell you that the Amazfit Balance 2 is reinforced with sapphire glass. It's super strong. But if you check, for example, other sports that they are training in the gym every day, like the football, so maybe the Bayern Munich is training with a Helio Strap also in the gym. So it's really good because the Helio Strap finally is recovered. So probably you can wear easily or safely like other smartwatch that you have crystal, okay, or glass. So this is more delicate. So you can try to push for the weight, even having the sapphire glass, right? But I think for the Helio Strap, you can train safely for this type of weights.
Maybe giving you a user example. I'm using the kettlebell, for example, and I don't have problems with that, but sometimes I turn it around to just go on the safe side. But for me, it doesn't impact it that much. For some watches it does, but depending on the kettlebell, it doesn't influence that too much.
Yeah, but for the Helio Strap, you don't have to have issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love most of those questions for one simple reason. It kind of fits so nicely into our third and final chapter, which is the sports vision and the vision of Amazfit. And you've proven the vision over and over again. Latest with HYROX, you went really all in before it entirely blew up. You were there, you were ready. You actively approached them with the ideas of the HYROX mode. I know there's so many more ideas. I have to sign a paper I'm not allowed to talk to. So a lot happening. But Jesus mentioned one earlier in his presentation already, Freddie, something that you're really excited about. What is it and how does it work?
Yeah, the HYROX training mode, so that you can align your workouts or basically create your workouts with the different stations that you have for HYROX. So you can analyze the different stations in training, which was not possible until now. I mean, you could design different templates, but you have the software for that now, that you can basically use the training mode to adapt workouts and select certain things that you want to improve in training, for example. That's something I'm really excited about.
Another thing was mentioned that's implemented already, and I feel like personally we didn't point that out enough, and that is the test. Because I don't know how you are, but I'm the kind of athlete who doesn't train and then goes like, HYROX Pro, I got this. And about the time I'm halfway through the ski erg, I regret making that choice. And that's the PFT, the test that comes in very handy. Just take us through that in your words a little more.
Yeah, it's two things. You have the HYROX race mode, which was talked about, and we have the PFT. So the PFT basically is a test where you have a score in the end or minutes in the end, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and it gives you a recommendation. As part of that workout, you have a run, for example, you have burpee broad jumps, you have different stations that you complete, and the watch in the end gives you a recommendation for what you should do or what your body's capable of achieving or doing. So singles, doubles, mixed, or whatever competition you're interested in. And also highlighting the HYROX race mode, what I love about it is that you don't, you get, after your HYROX race, you get certain statistics on your runs, for example, how long it took you. You get statistics on the ski erg, on the sled push. And with the watch, with the HYROX race mode, you get more details on that once again. So you get the heart rate in the stations, which is important for me in training once again. So I can analyze which stations or on which stations does the heart rate go up. How does it impact on the runs, for example? So you get more data in the race mode and also for the PFT.
We've touched it a little bit before, and it's become quite obvious there is still room for more integration, more ideas and everything. Are there some that you're happy to talk about?
Yeah, when you think about Amazfit, we're an innovation company. So when you look at new features like biocharge, you can fully expect that those are going to be cascaded down to some of our newer products. It'll be coming to the Balance 2 very soon. When we launch next generation products, you can fully expect to see biocharge. Or we talked about the BioTracker 6th generation sensor. You should expect to see that. When you're talking about all these new features, full features, those will cascade as well. So I would remember that it's really, we're going to continue to be that innovative company, and how can we keep pushing further and deliver products for our athletes.
And one thing in that whole ecosystem, I kind of like just briefly want to touch, not really deep dive too much in it, but part of innovation these days, looking at where we're going, obviously is AI, which you're already using in terms of analyzing data, given information and so on. How does it integrate with the app and the devices and everything?
Yeah, I think that everybody say that we are at the beginning of the AI, right? So what is the next? I think we are introducing, for example, theft food, that this is super powerful. So I don't know if you are using, just take a photo and to measure the nutrition and the food. I think we are going to continue innovating in this area. So this is really critical for us. At the same time, we are ahead of the rest of the competitors, okay? So when last year we launched the first generative AI, not only when you can interact with your smartwatch, but also you can measure your training plans, or maybe you can analyze your third-hour system. The AI needs to help you in your day-to-day, okay? So finally, what do we expect in the future? So I think, and probably Freddie is going to be very happy, so we need to continue improving the indoor tracking, okay? The indoor tracking is something that if you don't have GPS, this is one of your feedback, no? How can we continue working on this area? But also it's really powerful to enhance or improve all the strength training. So we are adding new sports mode that the system is able to recognize the different parts of your body. So in the future, we are going to introduce more parts of your body to track which part are you training. And finally, I think for the running part, I think there are many KPIs and metrics that we are going to launch in the future, because this area, there is a big area of improvement with hardware plus software plus AI. So I think when you combine these three areas, you can get a real advantage against other brands. So this is our future, our DNA, how to keep innovating to cover your needs, or listen your feedback about, okay, how can we improve the HYROX training mode, or how can we improve the paddle session. So this is something that we are unique in the market. So this is our main part of our commitment with the sports passion that we have.
So many more questions from my end, to be honest, but we're about half an hour beyond the average attention time that humans have these days. You've all been really, really incredible. And we started talking a lot about the future and where it's going and everything. I'll just very briefly open up for more questions that might have come up if you do. Otherwise, yes.
Today, we're launching Balance 2, but as you know, one of our commitments is to continue updating the devices, okay? You, for example, if you check TRS3 in the last 9 months, you can find 10 upgrades with the latest one, okay? With the latest update. Our idea is for the latest device, we will continue innovating, we continue updating all the device, especially because I know that the HYROX people love the T-Rex family. So I think we will continue updating all the devices with these new specs. Today, we already launching Balance 2, but the idea is, I don't know if golf will be available, because golf is different sports. This is very focused in Balance 2. But I think for other sports, maybe we need to keep some innovation coming up. Yeah. So and probably this is something that doesn't like to Freddy, but
You can see the twitch in his face.
yeah, he's looking at me. So, for example, the progress in the last 2 years for Feb Coach has been unbelievable. So one of the critics that we receive at the beginning is how to be generalistic and how to be optimized for your training level or for the competition that you are training for. So I think if you track now in Feb Coach, your plan is not only based on some parameters. It's very personalized for your training level, for your training session, and it's able to provide a specific training plan for you. So this is very different that you can find at the beginning when we launched the service, because some of the feedback is, okay, the algorithm need to receive information from you to say, not only provide the time that you want to do or the age that you have. So finally, the system is receiving inputs about how you are improving in your fitness level, how you are improving during 3 months to adapt your training plan for this training level. And it's able to adapt based on your feelings, based on your heart rate, because as I told you, the form usually fluctuates during a period of time. Probably you are forgetting the fitness level that you have in the last 2 weeks, but if the system is able to update the plan based on your feelings, this is the most important things that the AI can help you.
Looks like it's time for drinks. So before we do that, already a big thank you to you. Seriously, I'm doing a lot of events. You were incredibly patient. That was amazing. You should all clap yourself on the shoulders. But before we head on out for the drinks and for the media to get the test products and for you to experience the experience zone and everything, we've heard so much in the now. An hour was planned. We did an hour 20. Do me a favor on your end, just the Helio Strap. Summarize it in your own quick words. What's so exciting about it?
For me, I have to tell you that this is my main device. I love it because, as I told you at the beginning, I am forgetting that I am wearing it. So, for example, I am wearing it during a long period of time and training with it. And for example, when I showed you the video of Gemma and Kripa, happened exactly the same. So normally, some of the users, they prefer to remove the smartwatch during the night or during the summertime. Okay, maybe you don't want to wear it when you are swimming or for them is okay. So probably this is the perfect time to introduce this product because it's super light. Finally, this is really comfortable and finally it's really precise. And because we are adding the latest technology, for us is the critical product, is the top priority product. Especially for the athletes, because one of your feedback in the past is this type of recovery tools is really, really important to get more feedback and to be more precise in the day-to-day. So for me, it's have to say that these top benefits, probably they are going to help the life of the athletes every day.
Thank you. And Matthew, that's why I thought that was the perfect, as if I paid you for that question. Obviously, there's going to be updates on the one as well, and we love the one, but of course we want you to have the two.
Yes.
What are your major upgrades from the one to the two?
Major upgrades from the one from the two. For me, it really comes down to 3 things. It's performance, accuracy, and then the design of the product.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Individual questions, more than welcome out there.